So I have this plan, and if it works, I may never have to buy chickens again. So when it comes to our chicken operation, the two things that we're constantly buying from outside sources to keep things running are the feed and chicks every spring. But my focus today is the chicks. How can I stop having to buy chicks from the feed store every single year and create a more self-sustaining system? And this contraption is my secret weapon. I have to confess, this has been in my basement for a while. I bought it a number of years ago. I used it once, and then I just got a little lazy because it's too easy to go to the feed store and get the chicks. But I'm committed to figuring out how to hatch chicks this year so we can close our chicken system once and for all. First things first, I gotta get my act together with the fluff down here. Guys, rude. So we have a bunch of different breeds. We have barred rocks, Americanas, silver lace Wyandottes, golden lace Wyandottes, and I have a few Icelandic chickens that are left over from a purchase many years ago, and they are the last lingering few. Long term, I want to only be hatching purebred chickens, but for this first batch of chicks, I know we're gonna have a little bit of a learning curve as I relearn how to use the incubator. So I'm just gonna take the eggs I can get, the ones we've been collecting, and roll with those. Jed, keep your nose out of my eggs. It takes 2 to 3 weeks for a chicken to become unfertilized. Do you get what I mean by that? So once a rooster breeds a chicken, she'll be fertilized by that rooster for up to 2 weeks. Everything stays in the oviduct. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna separate out the hens that I want to hatch from, wait for them to become unfertilized, and then put the rooster that matches their breed in with them in their separation place, and then I can get the purebred chicks. Or that's the plan at least. We'll see how this goes. Okay, so I have these girls separated out. I'm gonna make sure they're not getting bred for a couple weeks, and then once their eggs are no longer fertilized, then I will push them in with their matching rooster mate and see if we can get some purebred chicks. Okay, so we're gonna do a little test because once we separate out our purebred chickens, I need to be able to tell when the eggs are no longer fertilized. So there's a little test you can do. I'm gonna see if it works. I don't know. I'm a little skeptical if I'm gonna be able to tell the difference. But here we have an egg from our chickens, which are pretty likely fertilized because we have a number of roosters out there in the coop. And then here we have a Costco egg because we bought several cartons because we were completely out of eggs, and then 3 days later the chickens started laying like crazy. So now we have way too many. Anyway, let's crack these into a bowl and see if we can tell a difference. Google says you can. We'll see if that's true. So here's Costco and here's ours. And there's this little white spot in the eggs. And if the egg is fertilized, it looks like a bullseye. And if it's not fertilized, it looks like a white blob. So check this out. You can actually see it really good in these eggs. Okay, I know it's hard to see this, but you look right there. This little white circle. It's hard to see on camera, but it has a bullseye appearance. Do you see the rings? That means this egg is indeed fertilized. This is called the blastoderm. Now it's harder with Costco egg here because our circle's over on the edge. But you can see right there, am I gonna go in and out of focus? That is solid white. There is no rings, there is no bullseye, so this means this Costco egg is unfertilized, which we would have expected. And now that is not a blastoderm, that is a blastodisc. So we have a lot of laying chickens, and the question remains, what about the meat birds? It's pretty tough, if not impossible, to breed Cornish cross chickens at home, which is what we always butcher. So the plan is and I was inspired to do this after doing an interview with Kate from Venison for Dinner. But we're gonna be hatching out these dual purpose breeds, the Barred Rocks, the Wyandottes. We'll keep the hens for the eggs, and then we will take whatever roosters come in each batch, we'll raise those up, and then we can use those as our meat bird. Will they be as meaty as a Cornish cross? Probably not, but I think they'll still do pretty darn well. So last week we were in the middle of an egg famine. This week, this is what my counters look like. It escalated quickly. I do not claim to be an incubator expert, but I will just give you kind of the train of thought around why I got this machine and what I know about using it. So, I mean, I've read the instruction manual several times. So this is a Brinsea Octagon Eco. It's designed to hold 20 eggs. From what I can tell, it's a little more reliable than the tiny models that are like little circles that hold 8 eggs or so, but it's not a giant, so kind of in the middle. This is the vent that controls humidity. Humidity is really important. It has a thermometer right here. To adjust the temperature, you take this little casing off and you use a screwdriver to adjust temperature. With my first batch of chicks I did years ago, I turned the eggs myself, which you can do, but it was a little bit cumbersome to remember to do that 3 to 5 times a day. And with our life, I figured the investment in the auto turner would be wise. So since I knew I was gonna set the eggs this morning, this has been plugged in for several hours. It was cleaned really well on the inside, and now it's up to temperature, and I know that because it's blinking. So different species of birds need different temperatures. Chickens need to be within 99.3 to 99.6 degrees Fahrenheit. It's a little hard to see the thermometer, but that's right where we are, right shy of 100. The other piece of this that's key, take this off very carefully, is water and humidity. So they have these 2 channels in the incubator, and I filled one with water per the directions. And once we get ready to actually hatch, I'll fill up both reservoirs with water, but for now we just want the one filled. So now I'm picking through my selection to get good eggs. All of these eggs have been laid within the last couple of days. From what I've read, you can collect eggs for about up to 7 to 10 days if you store them in a cool, damp place and just collect your eggs up for incubation. We're getting so many eggs a day, I didn't have to wait that long though. Okay, now it's really important to be picky with your egg selection. I went through the bowls, I picked the eggs that were the freshest, the ones that were just really a nice, normal, average shape. I skipped the teeny ones, I skipped the big ones. I skipped any that had an irregular shape, and then I also skipped any that were porous. So like this guy is a nice looking egg, but if you feel it, it's rough. It's extra porous, and I'm gonna skip that one and not hatch it. I also didn't wash these, and that's why I picked clean eggs, so I wouldn't be tempted to try to wash them. A few had little bits of chicken poop on them. I just kind of scrape it off with my fingernail, but I don't want to hurt the bloom. That protective coating that is on the egg. So we want to put these guys in pointy side down. The big end is up. And now we just watch and wait. I'll continue to monitor the temperature throughout the day, make sure we have enough water in there. We cannot run out of water. That's really bad if that happens. And then on about day 7, we will candle the eggs to see how our growth is. And I'll definitely do a video of that so you can see how we're faring. So I know some of you are thinking right now, why don't you just let the chickens hatch the eggs? And honestly, when that works out, I greatly prefer to let the mama hen do her job because they do it a lot better than I do, and it's hands off for me. The problem is that a lot of our modern breeds of chickens, they've had that broody instinct bred out of them. So a lot of them, they might sit on eggs for a day or two, but then they lose interest. And you have a bunch of half incubated eggs that you have to throw away. You guys are really loud. I can't record this if we're talking like this. This isn't gonna work. Like why are you in here, woman? You are disrupting our laying hour. So one thing I didn't mention in this video is that hatching your own eggs not only closes your own chicken system, but it also creates the potential to sell the extra chicks and create some side income. If creating a homestead that can fund itself and maybe even pay some of your other bills is something that you're interested in, head on over to selffundedhomestead.com to see something I've been working on.